Hey guys, welcome back. It's Jen. If some of you don't know who I am and what I do, I am a woman in long-term recovery who is sharing my lived experience with you guys. I'm also a convicted felon. I've been incarcerated several times due to my substance use disorder. So today I thought I would tell you guys a little bit of juicy story. So, if you've been following me for a while now, many of you know I've had my daughter Bella when I was incarcerated at Bedford Hills Correctional Facility in Westchester, New York. Well, while I was incarcerated there, because I've been incarcerated there several times due to my substance use disorder and the crimes that I've committed because of my addiction. During 2011, I was sentenced to 18 months on a parole violation while I was pregnant. So I was fortunate enough to be accepted into the nursery program, and that's where I stayed for my bid while I was pregnant and after I had Bella until Bella was 13, almost 13 months old when we went home. If there was 31 days in February, she would have been 13 months, but she was maybe 3 days shy of, I think we went home the 28th of February. So, there was no 31 in that month. So while I was incarcerated, I stayed on the nursery program, and like I've said in previous videos, because I was a parole violator, my job was to stay as a porter, which basically means like someone who cleans and stuff on the nursery unit. So while I was incarcerated, I also decided that I wanted to try and get my marriage either annulled or get a divorce from Bella's biological father. He was still very active in substance use disorder and drinking and just doing things that now that I became a mom and had a little girl to raise, that I just realized I didn't want to have any part of. So I started going to the law library to figure out how to fill these papers. Well, couple of weeks into it, I had to go quite often because if anyone has ever tried to fill out any type of legal papers, you know how incredibly hard it is, let alone to be incarcerated and have no clue. Because like when you're home, you could always ask like the clerk or whatever for assistance. I didn't have that option. I had the law library workers and the officer who worked in the law library. So I started spending a lot of time there. He was not a very nice officer. Like, he just wasn't, but he was nice to me. And I was like oblivious at first because I don't know, that wasn't like my cup of tea. Like, I was scared because I was in the nursery and you could sneeze wrong and get a ticket and lose your baby. And I don't know, it was just whatever. And like, he was a dick. Like, I saw how he was towards the other girls. He was just a dick. Like, he was a dick. So all of a sudden one day he made a comment to me when I went to go pick up like legal mail or something pertaining to my divorce. He's like, I see you still have your wedding band on. And he like touched my wedding band with his finger. And I was like, oh, yeah, I do. I said, what? Like, I didn't know what to say. So a couple weeks went by and he started getting nicer and nicer. And then he started like picking up shifts on the nursery, which he never did, which was super awkward. He would make little comments to me. I would have like on days like he was up on the nursery, like he would come up to just like, I don't know, chill with the other officer because he was friends with them. I would find like food underneath my pillow, things that we weren't supposed to have, like real toothpaste, like with whitening, like Colgate whitening, like that was like something you weren't allowed to have. I had a whole tube of it, just like weird shit. And like he would be like, oh, like he would say little things that I would be like, oh, all right, so this dude's leaving me shit. All right, cool. Like if I had problems getting stuff through the package room, I would make a comment. All of a sudden I would be approved for my stuff. So, I mean, it worked out in my benefit. And when I was getting ready to leave, he was like, how am I going to contact you? And I was like, I don't know. I haven't been home in like a year and a half. I don't have a cell phone number to give you. He's like, you have an email? And I was like, sure. So he emailed me. And at first I had no clue who it was. It was like such a cryptic, weird ass email. But I was like, oh, this must be this motherfucker. Okay. So I emailed back and I'm like, is this really you? And da 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 da. And like the way he referred to like what the prison was and how we knew each other. And I was like, dude, I was like, this is too weird for me. Like I remember I emailed one back and I was like, listen, I think I know who this is, but I'm not really sure. And this is really creepy. So like either you give me a phone number or a way we can be in contact and we'll go from there. But this is weird. Like I don't understand your reference. He was referencing that he met me at school, like prison was school, and I'm like, all right, I can understand the connection, the reference. Like Bedford's on a very big property and it's got older buildings, something similar to like a university would have, but it was just creepy, right? So then he gave me like a text-free number and we talked that way, and like I realized it was him, and then we finally spoke on the phone, and then he came up here to see me, and you know, we hung out. This is the only man between Bella's biological father and my husband. It's the only man that I hung out with, talked to, anything. So for probably a good, I don't know, maybe eight to 15 months, like on and off, we talked for a consistent amount of time, and then like we fell off, we stopped talking to each other. Like I was done with his like, he was scared. He was scared because he was afraid he was going to lose his job and shit. Like, and I get that, but it was just too creepy for me. And like, I cut him off. I stopped talking to him, and then we started talking again, and then, you know, whatever. So, you know, I dealt with him for a while. He was a cool dude. He's a nice man. I get it, but he's very, they would always be that dynamic between him and I, like how we met, that I was like less than him. Like I was like an inmate and he was an officer, you know, I mean, but, and all, other girls started to like catch on and like say little comments to me, and I'd be like, I don't know what you're talking about. Never once did I do any type of fuckery with him when I was locked up. Like that's just not something that I ever would have been comfortable with. That's not something I ever would have participated in. Funny because like after Jared and I got together, he and I still remain friends. Like if he sent me a message today like, hey, what's up, how are you, how's Bella, like I have no animosity towards him. Like I moved on with my life. Clearly I'm married now, and you know, years later. But like at one point in time, like he had commented something on my Facebook page, and then Jared commented, then he commented, then Jared commented, and I was like, oh my god, these two. Like Jared seriously wanted to like beat him up. It was kind of funny, and I was like, bro, I broke up with him for you. Like once Jared, I really stopped talking to him once Jared and I really started to like become something. He was something to pass the time, I guess. I had just been in a really shitty marriage. I had just come home from incarceration. He was familiar. He knew my story, you know, so I didn't have to go through like that awkward, like, oh, so what have you been doing for the last 6 months? Well, I was incarcerated. You know, I didn't have to go through that. He already knew. All that small talk shit was out the way. And I don't know. I just figured like, hey, you only live once, right? I deserve some sort of happiness in my life. Bella's dad had just committed suicide and taken me through all that shit show. And I was just in a really vulnerable place, and he was safe. I knew he didn't do drugs. I didn't know he wasn't going to beat me, but he definitely didn't. He was good to me, except he was just, you know, he never wanted to like make a commitment. But then when I was like, all right, I'm going to go and do my own thing, he like got offended, you know? He was a completely different nationality and race from me, and my parents are real old school, and that probably never would have went over. You know, we had so many things that made it so we would never be successful in a relationship. He could have never brought me around his friends because, you know, there's a very small amount of nursery moms, and people remember. They might not have known me personally, but they would have known my face. Or, you know, if someone would have been like, oh, so how'd you guys meet? You know, oh, she was my inmate. You know, that's illegal. That's like a whole charge. But he's a good guy, and he, you know, like I said, we hung out, we had somewhat, I guess you could say we more like had like a booty call type relationship. But, you know, I just thought this would be a fun story to share with you guys. I believe he actually I think he still works for Docs. That's why I don't want to say any names. I don't want to jeopardize his future or anything. But yeah, so that is how I ended up dating a Bedford Hills corrections officer for about a year and change. So I hope everybody had a good Labor Day weekend, and I will see you guys in a few days. Bye.